Best Irish music on irishradio.org with Jerry Byrne.
Irish Radio, I'm Jerry Byrne. Since the start of lockdown, been speaking to many of the great, the good and the talented of Irish music. I've got a gentleman based in near Middleton in County Cork who's been involved in music for a very, very long time. Starting off from a very young age, has been on the roads and on the stages right throughout Ireland and indeed further afield. I'm delighted to say hello to the one and only Willie O'Keeffe. Willie, how are you?
Very good evening, Jerry. Very good. I'm very good, thank you.
Willie, listen, tell me this. You started off in music at a very young age.
Yeah, I started off in the music business. My dad had a Healey band here in Cork at about 11 years of age, so I started doing a few gigs with him in the local pubs, and then one thing progressed to another, and I was with him till I was about 17 or 18. And then I joined Louise Morrissey from Tipperary, the band lass. So it all took off from there, Jerry.
Right, and that was you were the very first band when Louise Morrissey went on the road back in I think it was the late 1980s.
Yes. Yeah, in the 1980s. I just saw a thing on Facebook there a couple of weeks ago where she had a picture up saying that it was 33 years ago since she launched a band in Barry's Hotel in Dublin. So I would have been the first drummer in that band, and was with her for 10 years, and it was great times.
Indeed.
Great times.
Indeed so. Louise, of course, who went on from the very start of the launch of that band to success, and you must have travelled every road in Ireland and further afield.
Well, that's for sure. I know every place in Ireland, but I suppose where I'm based in Cork, everywhere was a journey for me, bar playing in Cork, but Donegal was about 5 hours, and I was looking forward to the spin home, but yeah, I loved every minute of it, Jerry,
That's it.
I think the music is it's bred in you, so.
Indeed so. And bearing in mind that was when you were doing those journeys, for example, to Donegal, there were no motorways at that stage or anything like that.
No, Limerick used to be a terrible place to get through because you could be caught there for an hour and a half if you were going up the west, and even through Dublin, going, to Dundalk or anywhere like that, it was just crazy. So, you always had to leave hours and hours beforehand, and then you would arrive at the gig and you put up the gear, and then you were hanging around for hours and hours, and it made it a very long day, Whereas now, from Cork to Dublin, you'd be there in 2 hours at your ease,
Indeed.
And that's not driving fast.
Indeed, it's amazing. Now, after Louise Morrissey, then you were playing with a local act in Cork.
Yeah, so I left Louise Morrissey, and there was this local band in Cork. There were a band called the Zodiacs, and actually one of the lads in the band started in my dad's band, so we had the connection there for years and years. And he just rang me up one night and he said, "Listen, I'm stuck for someone to do a wedding with me," and he said, "Would you do it?" So I said, "Yeah, no problem." And 20 years later, I was still with them, and we were a very successful band in Cork. Cork and surrounding counties like Tipperary and Waterford and Kerry, doing weddings. We were 3 and 4 piece at times. Just depended what the people wanted,
Yes, I've heard of the Zodiacs, and definitely made a big impression in particularly in the south of Ireland, as you say. Now, after that, what did you do, Willie?
So after that, I was just hanging around, I suppose. So I started doing gigs on my own then as a one-man thing and doing the social dancing here in Cork. And but it's a very, very hard scene, because you're either too fast or you're too slow, or you're there's always something wrong, I think, with some of the social dancers, to a degree. But I was in that for years and years, and then I was playing in down the Rue Glen in Waterford one night, and Sean Lockby was playing in the main ballroom, and we were chatting away, and he's, I knew Sean for a long time, and he said that his drummer was leaving. So I said, "Listen, if there are any gigs down the south side," I said, "be sure and give me a call." And he rang me about 3 days after with about 30 or 40 gigs for me, but they were all over the place. And I had been out, and I stayed with Sean for 2 years, and he's a gentleman, an out-and-out gentleman, and I have a great time for him, and I loved his dad singing.
Indeed.
He was just a great singer.
Indeed. So,
yeah.
Well, now you've also played with the late Tom Healey.
Yes, myself and Tom go back a long, long ways, because Tom is from County Cork, as your listeners know, and he was hugely popular in the UK and so in Ireland. So I used to do the UK on my own. Like a couple of the Irish clubs. I used to play for Seamus Moore. I do Hayes, and a few all those clubs. And I used to stay with Tom above in Leamington Spa, and he was a great friend. So when Tom came to Ireland, if he needed a drummer, well, then I'd help him out. And Tom would ring you like at 10 or 11 o'clock at night when he'd only be kind of up, and he'd expect you to stay talking all night. And I had my day job, but he was a gentleman, and it was very sad to have the passing of him. And I was at the funeral, and it was very, very sad.
Indeed so. Now you've also done drumming with Paddy OBrien.
Yeah, I'm currently with Paddy OBrien, even though there's no gigs here in Ireland because of COVID. I'm sure it's the same everywhere, but I've been with Paddy now for the last 2.5 years. So yeah, I enjoy. Paddy's a great singer, and as a true gentleman, and but it's just very hard in Ireland, because I just don't know if the music is going to get back for a long, long time. People think that it might, but I think it's going to take an awful long time. But yeah, still with Paddy, but redundant at the minute.
Right. Yes, the same as every other musician and singer right around the entire world at this stage.
Exactly.
It's just the way. It's just the way that things are. I think with when you were saying Willie about things coming back, I think it's going to take time. I mean, I don't think we're going to come to a particular date on a particular month and suddenly everything will start off again. I think it's going to take a period of time, and I think the coming back is going to be a slow opening up and a slow resuming of entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think a lot of the dancers that used to go to all these sorts of dancing, they're probably afraid to go out, or some of them have passed on, and it's going to be a long, long time before it can be back up to where it was. And I suppose in Ireland, in fairness, it was doing well with some of the bigger acts. They were drawing in big crowds, but there was a lot of venues too, and bands who were having small crowds, but with a few dancers. But whether they're all going to come back out again, I don't know. It's like if you get used to something, you'll kind of stick to it again, won't you?
Indeed, that's it. And the concerts and all of that. It's I know it seems at the moment almost impossible to imagine going to a concert where you're sitting beside everybody and in such close proximity, and the same at dances. But I think we need to be a little bit further down the road, I think, before anything can happen in entertainment and music.
I don't think that it'll be like I organise like an open air concert in Fermoy in the J Club last couple of years, where we have had Jimmy Buckley, Louise, and the Conquerors, and Jerry Guthrie and Brendan Shine, and Gary Gamble. And the first year was a great year. Last year I had Mike Denver and Michael English booked, and it didn't happen. And I have them booked again for this year, and it's not going to happen either because. We've got no guarantee that we'll be able to run it, first of all, and then I think even if we did, it's too late now to run it because of ticket sales and stuff like that. So maybe we'll wait until 2022 and see how it goes.
Indeed, it's possibly looking like that at the moment. And most people that I speak to, as regards actual, sort of getting into music and getting into doing events like that, everybody really is talking about 2022.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, I suppose that in 2020 we were talking about 2021, and now we're gone on to 22. So I hope it'll stop at that.
Yes. Fingers crossed it will. But the only thing is, if you look at it like this, Willie, we've never been in a better position, to get out of a pandemic like this. With the vaccines and with the medical care and the medical facilities and the medical people and scientists that we have at the moment.
Yeah, that's for sure. Even though it's a little bit slow in Ireland at the minute, but hopefully, that will pick up. Just don't know what's going. I think a lot of people don't know what's going on or where the vaccines are going. But hopefully, it'll pick up, and and that we'll all get vaccinated and we'll get back to where we were a few years ago. We took everything for granted too, I suppose.
Didn't we just? We never ever thought we'd ever be in this position.
Yeah, like in Ireland years ago, that somebody might ask you something, and you might say, "Look, a guard wouldn't ask me that," and now you can't even drive 5 kilometers down the road, and the guard says, "Well, where are you going?"
Yes.
So that's the problem now.
Indeed, it's a changed times, Willie. Listen, it's been lovely to catch up with you, lovely to chat to you. Well done on everything that you've done all over those years. And listen, somewhere along the way, I'm looking forward to seeing you Ben on stage with Paddy OBrien someplace in the not too distant future when it's safe to do so.
Well, thanks very much, Jerry, and just like to say hello to all the listeners and all the people that used to come to my gigs in the UK, and hope they'll all be listening in, and continued success to yourself, Jerry. Doing a great show there in the UK for the Irish music, and it's been running a long time now, and hope it keeps running forever.